Hi class, Professor Agnoli here, and I wanted to make a video this week to take you through some of Module 5. There's a bunch of stuff that you have to do. The assignment includes using Photoshop and Illustrator and following along with some tutorials. So in order to alleviate any questions or confusion, I wanted to take you through each exercise real quick, show you where it's all located, show you what you need to do, and then that way you can complete this week's work without any confusion, a lot of questions. To make it even more clear, I want to take you through it step by step, okay? So let's get started.
A quick introduction to Module 5. So Module 5 introduction, the learning objectives are very clear. You're going to compare some of the tools in Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign. You identify which ones are appropriate for a given design task, and you're going to use Photoshop and Illustrator actually to complete some basic graphic design tasks. Like I said, some of the material has been updated and some of it is lagging. That's why I wanted to produce this video for you to take you through it so there is no confusion at all about what's going on. So that's the overview. Once you get into the first thing in the introduction, there's a learn to do it passage you need to read, chapter 12. All about Illustrator. It's going to go into a lot of the tools and things in a little bit more depth. So you're going to read chapter 12, and as it says here, you're going to read through to the exercise creating a poster, but you're not going to create a poster, okay? You're going to go. So you're going to stop right here. You're not going to go past this to do anything more. You're going to stop here. You're not going to do exercise 12.3, okay? But you are going to read through all this stuff, and it's going to tell you basically everything you need to know about some of the basic tools and a couple advanced tools in Illustrator, okay? So once you get done reading through all this, you're going to go back to the resources, and there is a series, and it looks like a lot, but if you notice, each video is only about a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. I mean, there is some significant time that you're going to have to spend here to go through all the tools. But what I suggest you do is go through the getting started sections. And if you look and I just click on this, it's going to open up my LinkedIn Learning. And this will take you through some of the basics of Illustrator tools. It's a really great resource, the LinkedIn Learning, and there's some really great tutorials. So you're going to go through and you're going to check out all these different videos, and then when you're all done, all these are available to you, so you can go back and check them out. Oh, how do I select objects? How do I use anchor points? How do I use the pen tool? These videos are here for your use. They're here for your reference. You could watch them alongside of using the application. Once you get done with that, there's some additional videos you can go check out if you want, and some additional reading. After that, you're going to go to the practice activity using the tool. You can click on the requirements and rubric. Okay, in the requirements and rubric, I'm going to give you a quick overview, right? Okay, to make this as clear as possible for you, I have switched my screen so you can see Photoshop on the left, the practice activity guidelines on the right. Okay, class, for this demonstration, I'm not going to go do every little thing. I'm going to get you started with each thing. I want to make sure you know where to go to get this all the tasks done, okay? What you're going to be submitting in the end are 4 things: a Photoshop artifact and 3 Illustrator artifacts. These are going to be saved in their appropriate format, and they're also going to be exported so that you can import them into the Word document. And we're going to focus on this first one here, which is launching Photoshop and do what you need to do, right? So what is most important to me is that you know how to find the proper tutorial to go through. So to get to the proper tutorial in Photoshop, there's a couple different ways you can achieve this. The first way is, of course, we have to launch Photoshop. So let me go ahead and launch Photoshop. And when Photoshop opens, you're going to have this home menu, right? You can select Learn, because usually there's the Home and then the Learn. You're going to select the Learn menu, and you're going to go to Hands-on Tutorials, and you're going to click View All, but you should see the Get to Know Layers tutorial right here. You can click on that. If you don't see this here, you can click on View All, and you'll be able to scroll through and find the Get to Know Layers tutorial, right? It's listed right here. Let's say you already had Photoshop open and you don't know necessarily how to get back to this page and you want to do the tutorial. You go under the Help menu and you go to Hands-on Tutorials. You click that, and then in the search box here, you're going to type Get to Know Layers, and there's a tutorial. So those are the two ways you can find the proper tutorial for Photoshop. Once you find the tutorial, you're going to click on Start Tutorial, and then you're going to follow along and do everything it does. As you go through this tutorial, you can click on things. It's going to tell you to do stuff. Once I get done with all the steps to the tutorial, I'm going to wind up with an image something like this. And what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to save the document. So I'm going to go under File, Save. I'm going to name it something. In this case, I named it P-Shop Tutorial 1. You could name it whatever you'd like. And I'm going to save that to my desktop. Okay. And then that's fine for saving it. You want to save it in that Photoshop format because it retains all the layers. Okay, if you remember file formats, Photoshop retains all the layers. And then what we're going to do from there is we're going to need to place this in our document, right? So we need to save it as, or export it. We're going to export it as a JPEG file. Okay, we're going to hit export. We're going to name it. We're not going to touch anything else. We're just going to export it as a JPEG, save it. We're all good. Wait, Professor, can't you do a save as a JPEG? You certainly can. Save it as a copy. And when you save it as a copy, we can save it as a JPEG. And that way, we will be able to import this into our Word document. Now for the Illustrator portion, you see here, launch Illustrator, and it goes through and it does all these different things, right? The problem is some of the names of some of these tutorials have changed. So you'll see in the announcement today the revised instructions for these 3 exercises. So I want to take you through that real quick so you know which ones to look at. If you were to do these, you might find them, but they have different names and they don't really match up exactly. Let's go through the revised. These are the revised instructions for the 3 artifacts you have to create in Illustrator. So the first thing you do is you're going to launch Illustrator. When you launch Illustrator, you're on the home screen here. When you click the Learn button, right, and you're going to scroll to the bottom page, just search for tutorials. You're going to click that button, and that's going to open Illustrator, and you're going to have this Discover box like we had in Photoshop. And in here, you're going to type in create an icon, all right, and you hit return, and then you're going to see create an icon, and you're going to launch it just like we did in Photoshop. You're going to follow all those steps. You're going to label the artifact at the end that you finalize and you save as Adobe Illustrator icon, right? Let's take a look at that right here. It tells you right here, save your work in the appropriate format. And then you're also going to save it so you can export it and save it into the Word document, right? That's part 1. Part 2, okay, when you're done with that tutorial, you're going to say, okay, how do I get to this part 2? I'm going to go under the Help menu, Tutorials. That's going to bring up the Discover. And in here, this time, we're going to type in build your logo with basic shapes, okay? So we're going to type that in here. And here's the hands-on tutorial. You're going to launch that one. You're going to go through it just like we did prior. And at the end, you're going to label it as Adobe Illustrator logo, and you're going to save that. Okay. Then the third one, we're going to go back here. We're going to get rid of those searches, and we're going to search for curved text to add flair. And here it is here. I'm going to click that, and we are going to do that tutorial as well. You can complete the tutorial, and I'm going to show you how this is all going to come together. So these are the revised instructions. I just showed you how to do each one, where to find each one, and how to start it. Now let me show you what you're going to do once you finish all of these artifacts. You're going to have the Photoshop image you created and the 3 Illustrator artifacts. Okay, and now what are you going to do with them? Well, you're going to go into Word. You're going to use the program Microsoft Word. You're going to create a new document. On the first page of the new document, you are going to put project, module 5 activity. Then you're going to insert your name. You're going to put my name, GRA-200 Digital Design Tools, and you can put insert the date. The due date for this is April 2nd. Okay, and then you will type Photoshop artifact, and you're going to insert a picture from file, and you can go find that Photoshop tutorial. Now you will have a PSD file, and you can insert that into Word, but I don't recommend it. It's going to be too big of a file in most cases. What you should do is you should have exported a Photoshop file as a JPEG, and that's the one we're going to import. And there is our imported image, right? Now that that's in there, we're going to add a paragraph about why you saved your work as the format you selected. Now, how am I going to say that? I will say something like, I saved this image as a Photoshop document because blah, blah, blah. Okay, why did you save it? If I saved it as a layered Photoshop file because I wanted to retain the layers. Whatever it is, that's what you're going to write. And then you're also going to say, I also saved it as a JPEG or a PNG or something smaller in size so that it can be inserted into Word without taking up a lot of file space. Okay, when you're done with the Photoshop one, you are going to create Illustrator icon, and you're going to go through the same steps. We're going to insert the image, type why you saved it in the format, and then you're going to do the next one, which is Illustrator logo, and then the last one will be the curved You'll save your Word document, then you will upload this document for your submission. So to review real quick, you're going to do all the tutorials, then you're going to make a new Word document, and it's going to be labeled Project Module 5 Activity. You're going to insert your Photoshop artifact. You're going to write a paragraph about why you saved it as a particular format, file format, and you're going to do the same thing for the Illustrator icon, Illustrator logo, and Illustrator curved text. I hope this clears things up. I hope it makes it easier for you to figure it all out. And if you have any questions, shoot me an email. Otherwise, good luck and have a great week.